Hi, my name is Jenny Lauren Dowden for Conduit News. Today we have Hope Hendren Duke joining us once again. As many of you know, Hope is running for House District 12. She is in the Republican primary runoff for that district. Hi.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for joining us again. I know that you're so busy right now, especially since early voting is underway.
Yes, ma'am. Been down knocking on doors, and I actually have a chalkboard sign outside my house because I live on the highway to remind people as they go into Bentonville to make sure that they vote on the way into town. And so, yeah, we've been busy.
What are you hearing as you're going door to door still? Are you still hearing the same issues as you were before leading up to the primary runoff?
I really am. And it is somewhat surprising to me how consistent this message has been from the voters since I ran for school board for re-election last year in May. It has consistently been, no matter the demographic, they want to know what's being taught in our schools and how do we make sure that we're focused on the academics and not on agendas in the school systems. And that has just been a consistent theme. And I'm not saying there's not some other issues out there. Obviously, pro-life issues are very important to voters. Second Amendment issues are very important. But the consistent thing I hear on whoever's door I knock on is, tell me more what's going on in the school system you're involved in, and what are you going to do down in Little Rock?
Yeah, so talk to us about that and help us understand the differences between you and your opponent. Both of you served on the school board together. Just help our viewers understand what those differences would be.
Well, we did. We both served on the school board together. Jay was on there for 10 years and I was on there for 6. We're no longer either one of us on it as of last Monday. But there are some differences between myself and Jay. I think I'm more conservative, and I think that's been demonstrated in the votes in the past couple of years on the school board, specifically the mask mandate. And again, that's one I get asked a lot about too, is how do you feel about mandates? And whenever we had the opportunity to remove the masks in the gravel schools, I first, want to make clear, I think that's a decision for the parents to make. But whenever the district was charged with that decision, it was a 6-1 vote to make masks optional. And Mr. Oliphant was the only one who voted against making masks optional. So that's a big significant difference. And at that point in time, understanding that it was freedom that was at stake there, and what you were trying to make sure that you kept under control and allowed for people to have, and not having schools overreach or the government overreach, and having that wisdom and discernment, I think at that time, to understand it was a larger issue going on there. So that was a big difference. And I also, there's been a lot of differences in how we approached just changes in our school system from traditional grading versus standard-based grading. And those pieces to a lot of people seem like maybe they don't matter as much. And when I look at the grand scheme of what's going on in our country in education and in the watering down of expectations and excellence and standards and discipline, all those pieces go together. And so I voted to stick with the traditional grading system. Mr. Oliphant voted against sticking with it and to going to the standard-based 1, 2, 3 system. And those are pretty distinct differences. There's my home phone. So
that's okay.
Sorry.
Recently, so in the original Republican primary race for House District 12, there were 3 of you. The third candidate was Jason Maxwell. Jason Maxwell recently came out and endorsed you for this runoff race. Talk to us about that.
Well, we had a lot of conversations. We've had some forums and different things. And I think that from the pro-life issue in particular, and in parental rights in the schools, I think Mr. Maxwell felt like, I don't like to speak for other people, but from what he said in his endorsement, that he just aligns more with what values I have and the way I view the role of government and education and parents and different things like that. And it's particularly on the pro-life issue. I think that was a big factor for him as well. So I appreciated it. And I hope that his voters will get out and that they will vote, and they'll vote for me, and they'll bring someone with them. And if they have questions you heard my phone go off. I've got a landline. I'm easy to access. If they have questions, just to reach out to me.
All right. Well, let's talk about getting out the vote. Early voting is underway. Early voting ends June 20th. Election day is June 21st. What do your voters need to know?
Well, the voters in our area have a little bit more challenges than the voters elsewhere, because there's only 3 early voting sites open, and they're in Bentonville down behind the clerk's office, or at the clerk's office behind the courthouse, and then in Rogers and in Siloam. So for the Gravette, Bella Vista, Maysville, Sulphur, Decatur, the little parts of Gentry, and those other little communities, they're going to have to drive to go early vote. And so it's 8 to 4:30, but I hope that they will do that if they're not going to be able to vote on election day, which the regular voting sites are going to be open on the election day. except in my voting area, except for the Catholic Church is not going to be open in Bella Vista. But just that people will make that a priority, that if they're in town over in Siloam, Rogers, or Bentonville, they'll vote, that they'll get out on election day and vote. It is so important. We can't just sit back and not be involved. I just really hope people will remember where we were, not even just, a year ago, just 6 months ago, where schools were going virtual and online again, and their masks were being mandated again in schools. And just not to forget that can come back again very quickly or in a different form.
Anything else that you want to add before you go?
Well, I just appreciate the opportunity again to get to speak to people. It's so hard to get your message out. And especially in summer, have an election in the middle of summer is really hard. And so I just, I want to serve the people in District 12. I've been knocking on doors, and if they see me standing out holding signs, or, stop and visit with me, but especially just get out and vote.
Yeah.
And bring someone with you.
Yeah, just one more time this summer. Get out and vote in this primary runoff. Thank you so much, Hope.
I appreciate it. Thank you.